Is the United States breaking apart? Could your local sheriff, a farmer, or even a truck driver soon find themselves living in a different country without ever moving an inch? While it sounds like an absurd plot from a movie, in 2025, serious cracks are showing in America's foundation. It's no longer just online chatter. State lawmakers, small-town mayors, and entire counties are actively pushing bills, referendums, and boundary shifts with the goal of breaking away. This isn't just a fringe movement, it's a debate about power, taxes, and values. From the quiet corners of Illinois to the bold declarations of Texas, the dream of secession is being whispered and, in some cases, 10, New York. It sounds like a joke, but in early 2025, Senator Liz Krueger proposed the idea of New York and some neighboring states leaving the U.S. to become part of Canada. She even mentioned using New York's massive federal tax contribution of over $300 billion as leverage. While top politicians are considering full secession, grassroots groups are pushing for a three-way split within the state itself: upstate, New York City, and Long Island. This Divide New York movement has actual bills circulating in the state legislature. The divide between rural and urban values has become so sharp that 9, Illinois. What happens when half your state wants out? In Illinois, a quiet rebellion is brewing not against America, but against Chicago. Voters in over 30 rural counties have said they would rather join Indiana than be governed by Chicago's big city politics. This might sound petty, but it's backed by numbers. Cook County, home to Chicago, makes up 40% of Illinois' population, and the rest of the state feels suffocated by policies on taxes and gun laws that they had no hand in shaping. Even more surprisingly, Indiana passed House Bill 1008 to create a commission to study how to absorb these counties. This move is real, funded, and already in motion. 8, Oregon. Imagine your county deciding it's done with your state and just moving to another one. That's what 13 eastern Oregon counties are trying to do in 2025. Tired of Portland's liberal politics, rural voters want to leave Oregon and become part of Idaho. This is not a joke. House Bill 3844 was introduced to study how the border could be moved. The Greater Idaho movement has gained unprecedented momentum, fueled by years of feeling ignored by the coastal elite. Every one of the 13 counties voted yes on ballot measures to explore the move, and 7, Texas. Could one of America's biggest states seriously be planning an exit? This is the bold play of the Texas nationalist movement. In 2025, the group has over 426,000 supporters, and it's not just online noise. Over 60 counties have organizing branches, and lawmakers are signing pledges to honor any vote on independence. The movement's leader, Daniel Miller, is aiming for a non-binding referendum in November 2025. Backed by the state's GOP platform, the idea of Texas going solo has never been more structured or organized. Independence isn't a dream in the Lone Star State, it's an actual campaign with boots on the ground and ballots on the way. 6, Hawaii. What if an entire culture said, "We never agreed to this in the first place"? That's the clear message coming from Hawaii in 2025. On January 17, over 1,500 native Hawaiians and allies marched in Honolulu, chanting for the restoration of the Hawaiian Kingdom. They see the 1893 U.S.-backed overthrow as illegal. The Aloha Aina Party, Hawaii's only sovereignty-driven political party, continues to run candidates and push for legislation. This movement is entering the halls of power, with community leaders publishing op-eds linking independence to climate resilience and an end to military overreach. The push for Hawaiian. 5, Washington. Have you ever heard of a movement that wants to redraw the map based on trees, rivers, and bioregions? Welcome to Cascadia. In 2025, thousands of people across Washington are saying the United States just doesn't work for them anymore. During the No King's Day protest in June, 70,000 people flooded Seattle carrying the iconic Douglas fir flag and chanting for separation, not reform. The Cascadia Department of Bioregion, a nonprofit, hosts year-round secession seminars. This year, they even released a complete roadmap to bioregional autonomy, covering everything from currency to water rights. 4. Florida. What if one of America's sunniest tourist spots had its own military and passports? In 1982, Key West playfully seceded from the U.S. and formed the Conch Republic. In 2025, the movement is more alive than ever, with annual parades reenacting their battle with the U.S. Navy. The underlying message is about local identity and control. In a more serious vein, groups like the League of the South are quietly expanding their reach across northern Florida, arguing that the state's mix of cultural pride, gun rights passion, and federal resentment makes it a perfect candidate for a breakaway. Ever wondered which U.S. state is most likely to secede and actually survive? It's not Texas, it's Alaska. A 2025 YouGov poll found that 36% of Alaskans would vote for independence today, the highest percentage in the country. This makes sense for a state thousands of miles from Washington with a self-contained culture and economy. The Alaskan Independence Party, AIP, is a real political force with nearly 19,000 members. They push for legislative action and run candidates, with their main goal being a statewide referendum on leaving the U.S. completely. 2. New Hampshire. What happens when a small state decides it has had enough of federal interference? You get a political powder keg like New Hampshire. In 2022, the state legislature considered a constitutional amendment to allow voters to decide on secession. While it didn't pass, it was just the beginning. The Free State Project and other groups have been gaining momentum for years, with thousands of liberty-minded individuals moving to the state to weaken federal influence. The 2024 election cycle saw several pro-secession candidates win seats, openly campaigning on the idea of detaching from Washington. 1. California. Think California is too liberal to revolt? Think again. The Golden State is the biggest wildcard in America's secession debate. The Calexit movement has been pushing for independence since 2016, driven by cultural differences, economic dominance, and policy clashes with the federal government. In 2024, polls showed that nearly 1 in 3 Californians support exploring secession. As the world's 5th largest economy, California pays far more in federal taxes than it gets back. Legislation has already been introduced to explore forming a committee on independence, and the Yes California group is actively campaigning for a referendum. If the largest state in the country makes a real move to secede, the domino effect could fracture the nation in ways